Since the mid-20th century, human ambition has largely pointed upward. We've mapped the stars and left bootprints on the surface of the moon. We've even sent rovers millions of miles through the vacuum of space to physically photograph the surface of Mars. But there is a strange paradox to our exploration. We can look billions of light years into the deep universe, yet we have almost no physical experience with the ground directly beneath our feet. This diagram shows our planet's scale. The distance from the surface straight to Earth's center is approximately 6,371 kilometers. Compare that to the deepest hole humans have ever drilled, just 12.3 kilometers. We have penetrated roughly 0.2% of the way down. That distance is still enormous on a human scale. If you were to drop the Burj Khalifa, the tallest building on Earth, into a 12-kilometer hole, the darkness would swallow the skyscraper completely. But on a planetary scale, it is barely a scratch. The most completely unmapped, untouchable frontier we know of is not out in the stars. It is waiting silently in the dark below us. In 1970, Soviet scientists traveled to the remote Kola Peninsula to launch a highly ambitious engineering project. It became known as the Kola Superdeep Borehole. The massive rig they constructed wasn't designed to find oil, and it wasn't a commercial mining operation. The singular goal was to drill as deep as physically possible to study the chemical and physical properties of the Earth's crust. This meant the drilling was painstakingly slow. They couldn't simply pulverize the ground to make a hole. They had to operate the drill like a precision scientific instrument, carefully extracting intact cylindrical rock samples, meter by meter. At first, the process seemed straightforward, but they were unknowingly initiating a battle against the extreme physical constraints of the planet. With every meter their machines pushed deeper into the crust, the pressure mounted. The deeper they dug, the further backward through geological time they traveled. The extracted core samples functioned as physical time capsules. The team was pulling up rocks that had formed billions of years ago, long before complex life evolved on the surface. And within those ancient rocks, they found their first major anomaly. Hidden at extreme depths, completely isolated from sunlight or the surface ecosystem, they discovered the microscopic fossils of ancient life. This animation illustrates their second, equally surprising discovery: water. They didn't find sprawling underground oceans. Instead, they found water molecules chemically bound directly within the geometric lattice of the minerals themselves, formed by intense geological processes. Over the years, a viral internet legend claimed the project was halted because scientists lowered a microphone into the hole and recorded the screams of the damned. There is absolutely no scientific truth to that myth. The actual truth requires no embellishment. The crust was chemically and biologically active in ways no prior scientific model had predicted, making the real discoveries far stranger than any urban legend. But as the drill passed the 10-kilometer depth threshold, the operation hit a physical wall. The subterranean environment abruptly transformed into a severely hostile zone. This graph reveals exactly what went wrong. Scientists had calculated a gradual increase in heat, but past 10 kilometers, the actual temperature spiked violently to roughly 180 degrees Celsius, completely destroying their predictions. The extreme heat compounded with the crushing downward pressure, placing unimaginable stress on the enormous string of drill pipes rotating in the dark. Under these intense conditions, the stone itself stopped acting like solid material. It became ductile. Instead of cracking or breaking, the rock begins to deform and flow like a highly viscous plastic, slowly closing around the drill bits. The Kola Superdeep Borehole did not fail due to a lack of engineering ambition. It failed because the planet's geology actively morphed into a state that outright rejected our machines. At roughly 12.3 kilometers down, the extreme conditions overwhelmed the equipment. The drilling stopped, and the massive scientific facility was permanently abandoned to the elements. While certain modern mining operations reach deeper, true vertical depths below the surface today, the Kola borehole remains the ultimate benchmark for a straight-down artificial hole drilled into the crust. This visualization puts that limit into perspective. That 12-kilometer record doesn't even breach the Earth's thin outer crust, let alone approach the thousands of kilometers of mantle or the iron core below it. Earth's interior is an aggressive, rapidly moving environment. The deepest we've ever reached is a microscopic scratch on the outer shell of our world. If the relatively thin outer crust was enough to destroy our best technology, it leaves us with an imposing question. What exactly is happening thousands of kilometers further down, where temperatures reach thousands of degrees? To explore the absolute center of the Earth with us next, subscribe to the channel.